Well, Craig may be fighting with Rick Kelly for the championship win, but for the round win, it's been Garth Tander and Todd Kelly trading blows. How do we arrive at that situation? We're into race 3. They are tied on points, and where do we see that first chicane entry? But anyway, here's how we got there.
In the V8 Supercars, Rick Kelly was on the pace all weekend, but a crash in the shootout wasn't part of the plan. He would start 10th on the grid for race 1. His teammate Garth Tander left to challenge Todd Kelly off the start.
Let's do it, and Todd Kelly got the better start over Garth Tander.
Max Wilson was an early casualty at the back of the pack. Mark Scaife had a race to forget, a drive-through penalty among his dramas. But he wasn't on his own.
As we go on board with Craig Murphy, he's got dramas here.
Turn 8.
Back in 8th, Stephen Richards set a new lap record.
Here we go, it's on here between Stephen Richards and Rick Kelly as well. He might actually drop a spot here to Richo.
He will. Richo's not going to yield. Rick's not going to yield. They touch. And Rick Kelly loses out.
In the battle for 4th, Craig Lowndes was all over Jason Richards.
Oh, right on the back of Jason Richards, and he hits him and sends him through the first chicane.
While clear out in front, it was a Holden dream.
Todd Kelly wins the Gillette V8 Supercar Challenge ahead of Garth Tander, who gets...
Race 2 this morning was a far more frantic affair. Todd Kelly off the start.
This place is thundering, and I think Tander may have got the better start. Ingle tries to push his way through. Look at this drag race.
Further back, things weren't so smooth. Andrew Jones came off worse for wear in this tangle with Steve Owen.
Jones, here's the contact.
This is the reason why Andrew ended up with the big chunk out of that rim.
Others were also in the wars.
Here's your order.
Oh, trouble. It's the second of the Jack Daniels cars, and Paul Dumbrell tags the wall on the exit of the second chicane. 17.
Greg Murphy was in the thick of things.
Ooh, a little bit of nose to tail aggravation down there.
And try as he might, Todd Kelly couldn't reel in Tander.
Got it yesterday. Tander gets it today. Wins race 2 of the Gillette V8 Supercar Challenge. He handled the pressure from Todd Kelly. Nice work.
Mark Winterbottom, the best for 4th.
Well, keep your eyes open for the race start, which is coming up very soon. We'll take a break now. On the way, a fact from Jack.
Removable curbs or ripple strips are all round the Gold Coast Indy Circuit. They help define the shape of this street course and improve safety for the drivers. But if you make a mistake in qualifying or the race and are forced to shortcut, look out. The penalties are the same for both V8s and Champ Car. In qualifying, a shortcut will cost a driver their fastest time at that point of the session. It's a warning for the first offence during a race and a drive-through penalty for each infringement thereafter. Aggressive driving over the curbs or curb hopping is something the officials also police closely, and offenders can expect to be penalised heavily.
1 to go on the Lexmark Indy 300 program as we take you to the Mitsubishi Fuso starting grid. And these results reflect race 2 finishing order. Garth Tander is your pole man alongside the guy he's been duking it out with all weekend, Todd Kelly. His younger brother shares the second row with Mark Winterbottom, who has been oh so consistent this weekend. And how costly was that stop for Jason Richards in race 2? We square up one last time. Who's going to do it, Crompo? Tander, Todd Kelly. They've both got equal speed.
And they're on equal points, 210 apiece. It's a difficult question to answer, young Lee. I'm not really sure, because the two of them have really been separated by just a heartbeat in the first couple of races, and it's dependent on who's popped the clutch at the right time. Both their cars are extremely equal. Both drivers are driving well. The guy that's been impressive but quietly lurking there in case anybody makes a blue is Mark Winterbottom in 3rd position. Of course, the big picture view of all this is what's going on with the championship, and in that respect, Rick Kelly's made a little bit of ground.
Now we need to update you on 3 competitors who received penalties post-race 2. 33, Lee Holdsworth. 55, Steve Owen. And the highest competitor up the line was Jamie Whincup. They all pitted outside the compulsory pit window.
So this grid represents the tally of points after races 1 and 2. We're back to the 3-race format. Tander and Todd Kelly, 210 points apiece. Mark Winterbottom 3rd, 200 points. Rick Kelly with 187. And that point that I made about the points, you've got to go down to Craig Lowndes in behind Jason Richards and Jason Wright with 160. So 17 extra points went Rick Kelly's way so far after the first couple of races, and Greg's got an update from the lane.
Neil, the temperature's on the way down as you would expect at this time of day. 24 degrees ambient, 28 on track. I've just spoken to Barry Ryan, the man from the Jack Daniels racing team who looks after Stephen Richards' car. He tells me that Stephen's Commodore has cut out twice on the warm-up lap, or the sighting lap out of pit lane. They're not sure why, or whether it's electrical. It gave no warning, and they haven't, while it was sitting on the grid, been able to figure out what the problem was. So a question mark over Stephen Richards, and some chat here in pit lane that Alan Gurr has gone home already. There's a suggestion from the Gurr camp that by overtaking Paul Morris on the final lap of the last race, there may be some sort of dispute there between the teammates, and Gurr has gone home already. But that's one side of the story. I'll try and get the Morris side before this race is done.
Thanks for that, Greg. So the boys come up to the top end of the circuit, and this is what the points look like coming into the 3rd and final one. As Neil mentioned, Todd Kelly, Garth Tander share those points. So whoever wins this one, if it's either of those guys, will win the round. Going for it. This will be interesting. It's been an all Holden weekend here on the streets of Surfers Paradise. A lot more cloud cover above, a lot cooler conditions. But look at the fans. The crowd remains. And it's the same rules as the previous two. 100 kilometres, 22 laps, compulsory stop for tyres.
What we did see on Friday here was just astonishing speed for the category. When last year they were qualifying, they got into the low 51s. This year they got into low 49s, and that was because there was a lot of rubber on the track after Friday's Champ Car. Now, we've just come off the back of the Champ Car race. Rusty mentioned a moment ago, cooling conditions, lots of rubber on the road. It'd be fascinating to see what sort of pace competitors can produce in this third and final race in the Gillette Challenge.
It's an important one for that man on the right of your screen, Triple Eight Craig Lowndes, because his championship lead was 101 points coming into this round. It has now been cut to just 74. Rick Kelly is closing in. Race 3 of the Gillette V8 Supercar Challenge is ready. And is on. Todd Kelly with a blinder of a start. He has left Garth Tander standing. Tander defensive from Winterbottom, and Rick Kelly gets his teammate.
Yeah, Rick up to second, so that was a great start for Rick Kelly. An important one for him in this quest for the championship.
Do we all get through turn 1 cleanly? Yes is the answer. So far, so good. No. We spoke too soon. Lee Holdsworth and Marcus Marshall coming together. And substantial damage to the Repco Valvoline Cummins Commodore of Holdsworth.
Lots of drama there, isn't there? And Mark Scaife on the phone at the moment, yeah, and I know why. He's talking about the contact in the first chicane, and we can see the outcome. So he's had a shocker of a weekend.
Well, not only a shocker of a weekend this time round, 2 rounds that have just been nightmares. It was dealt a harsh blow at Sandown. Bathurst was the worst he's ever experienced. Out within 30 seconds of the race start. Let's watch here. Closest to us, Todd Kelly. What a ripper of a start. Further back here. Oh, look at that.
Safety car's on standby at the moment, and, well, big chaos there. Into turn 1. Not uncommon at this racetrack. Here's the view from above.
It looked like Paul Morris into John Bow on the right of your screen, and look at everyone takes evasive action. That was huge.
Look at that. Damage everywhere. We've had an update also, if you were curious as to what happened to Stephen Richards in race 2. Remember, he made that tardy start. I don't think there was any great technical problem there, but we haven't had that verified. But what actually stopped the car in the end was a broken steering arm. That was why he's parked up at the end of the first chicane.
One of the big points of conversation when you come to Indy with the V8s is damage. Well, so far, up until this point, it's been okay, but not the case now.
Let him up!
We're back right on cue for the restart of the Gillette V8 Supercar Challenge. And Todd Kelly is your race leader after that multi-car pile-up on the front straight. We're back into it. Valuable championship points up for grabs here. And perhaps yet another round winner for 2006. Will it be Todd Kelly's day?
What a ripper of a start for Todd Kelly. And, you know, one thing for sure, he's not going to want to take points away from his brother. So whether it's done in the pit stop or whether it's subtle on the racetrack, I would not be surprised at all to see cars 15 and 22 the other way around in fairly short order.
He was devastated. Even though he claimed the pole position, he was gutted when his younger brother stuck the Toll HSV dealer team car. Bright gets sideways, big time, out of the Buttercard S's. When he saw young Rick nose it in at turn 8, he was very, very disappointed, and he said, this is not the way I want to win the pole. I would much rather have seen my brother grab it. He is in the championship hunt, and it's not looking good for Lee Holdsworth.
Big shark bite on the front of that car on the side of it, and the words come through that they've got a broken upright in the front suspension of this car. So the Mark Scaife car number 2 Holden Racing Team vehicle is going nowhere this afternoon, so no points in this final race, and that caps off a black weekend. And as you pointed out before, Lee, 2 tough weekends for the guy who's won more races than anybody else in the championship this year. But for various reasons, it's not translated into a points tally for him.
Coming into this second race, this third race, I should say, Mark Scaife 15th in the championship. Would you have ever predicted that? Meanwhile, his teammate Kelly has almost a second lead, 7/10 of a second, in fact, and the fastest lap of the race thus far. And he's going well as we climb on board Garth Tander.
The top 3 cars here are very closely matched in performance, and they're not going to do anything crazy with reference to each other, I wouldn't have thought. Greg's got an update from pit lane.
And as you can imagine, Neil, that the HRT boys that work on car 2 are pretty deflated, but none more so than the driver. Just tell us what happened there.
I made a good start. I went up the left-hand side of Murph, and a BOC car spun. I don't know what happened, how it got there, but it spun and come back off the wall, turned left to hit Greg, and Greg hit my car. It was the right-hand front, and then just smashed straight to the fence on the left. So it was, I didn't think it'd get any worse this weekend. Rusty, we had a shocking weekend. It's just, a bad run at the moment.
Certainly hope that patch discontinues, Mark, and that you're back on the game in Tassie. Thanks, mate. Thank you.
Here's the Zinger replay. Watch to the left of your screen, because there's the contact between Morris and Bow, and then in the background, Murphy and Scaife get together. There's more to come. Holdsworth into Whincup, into Marshall. Andrew Jones is involved as well. And Paul Dumbrell takes evasive action.
There were a few people up the back there that reacted a bit late to all that stuff that was going on. You can see that Bow's gone to the right off the line. Whoever he was near on the grid, he moved right because whoever it was made a slow start. No. Morris was behind him.
Yep.
So John was reacting to a car in front. John has pulled some right lock on to go round another car, and in the process, he's made contact with Paul Morris. That was the reason. What I'm not 100% certain of was who it was that John was negotiating around at that point.
The brothers are trading blows. Rick now has the fastest lap in this one, a 1 minute 52.02. So it's Todd Kelly, Rick Kelly, Garth Tander, Mark Winterbottom, and Jason Bright. The two toll cars, the two FPR cars. 2, 3, 4, and 5.
I'm guessing that it was Max Wilson. He was the car immediately in front of John Bow. And I can see on the replay from up high, it was a dark-coloured car. So I think Max, I don't want to put the bone on him at this stage, but it was a dark-coloured car that got away just a little slowly. And so John was just jumping to the right of what I assume was that car, and then that was the reason that contact happened.
This is all coming Rick Kelly's way. He's got his teammate playing rear gunner. He's got his brother ahead.
That's what I was drilling at before. You know, you've got these three cars that are from essentially the same stable in terms of the technical base, the Walkinshaw Performance Group, preparing these cars technically two different operations in their ownership of the franchises, and in fact their outright ownership, but that means the cars are going to be very, very similar performance. A lot of debris on the circuit there with that stiff southerly breeze blowing, a lot of garbage around. There's obviously huge crowds this weekend, and so to penetrate this group of three, you know, if you're in that blue car immediately behind, or indeed the yellow and blue one that's a bit further back again, lots of luck.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough task in this 22-lap event. Compulsory pit stop window will open shortly, and that is for tyres. You'll see them extinguish those green lights. You can see on our right there, left-hand side of the screen, and then we'll continue to race right through to the end of lap 22. Darryl.
Paul Dumbrell, I guess it's been a difficult race 3 for you, but street circuits tend to bring this out.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's you know, obviously off the start, all being very, very cautious, and for the second race in a row, there's been a bit of an incident up ahead, and you know, there's only just enough room for 2 or 3 cars wide, and obviously someone's gone to someone up ahead, and I was probably one of the only blokes down the back who saw it, and I paid the price, and I was hard on the picks, and one of the Fujitsu cars ran up the back of me, and unfortunately it's put us out of the race.
Unlucky.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Well, just a quick update for you. Thanks, Daz. There's a number of crews on standby here in pit lane for some stops. The Gary Rogers team, WPS Racing and Super Cheap Auto all have tyres out on standby. We've just been down to Team BOC to get another extension to this story. Wanted to have a word with John Bow. He does not want to talk right now, boys.
51.6, the fastest lap of the race. Craig Lowndes as we join Russell Ingall. Critical braking area here at turn 5. You see how hard he's got to work to pull the car up. You carry a little bit of speed across the face of turn 5, and then it's a much tighter right at 6, and you slide down the camber of the road. There's the illumination. There's 3 shift lights in front of Russell. The first one comes on at about 71, 7200. That's the green one we're glimpsing above the steering wheel. There's a middle one that we only catch every now and again, and then the red one is actually the shift now. That's usually just a couple of revs, about 74, 80, about 20 revs or so before the 7,500 limit where the hard cut kicks in. You can hear the hard cut in the background then. Great pictures. Love watching the guys at work here around this track. Very busy.
Ingall has got Lowndes shadowing him. No pressure immediately on Craig Lowndes because Stephen Johnson's a good distance back in 8th.
In case you're wondering why we get a little bit of picture break up at this circuit, it's that reason above there as Rusty comes in for his stop. It's the bridges that are across the top of this circuit, break the link path between the cars and the chopper that's overhead.
Take the light off, make sure you pull this one out nice and square. We'll get you out of here real quick.
So the green light gets switched off, so we know that that's the light that's in behind the windscreen. We know Russell's taking on those rear tyres will be for here. Barry Hayes saying we'll get the job done quickly.
Clear, go.
And they did.
He will come out with clear track space. That's a nice relaxed pit stop under no pressure. Greg Murphy now, after being involved in an incident at the start of the race, he's now released.
Jason Richards is down the order as well in 17th at the moment. We've had word through that there might be an issue with his car. We'll keep an eye on that for you. Car number 3, the firepower Holden. Look at the damage on the front of Greg Murphy's car there as Kurt Suzuki from V8 Supercars Australia just watches the cars exit. Look at the damage on the front of Greg's car. Remember, he was involved in that start line drama. They go through the 40k phase of the pit lane, then they step it up to 105. A lot of debris in the front of Dean Cando's car there as well. Plastic bags and rubbish. There's enough of it there for him to, and for his team to keep a bit of an eye on water temperature. Craig Lowndes is coming in this lap.
Just dropped into Tasman Motorsport, guys, and had a word to Wally Story, engineer on car 3 for Jason Richards. He says that Jason's been on the radio. The car's in the pit bunker here, and he's got a massive loss of brake pedal pressure. Wally said he believes it may be a loose bleed nipple or something like that. They're trying to get to the bottom of it.
They have until lap 14 to complete this compulsory stop. Let's see which of the front runners come in. Lowndes, we're expecting in. Do any of the others? No.
It's a weird problem for Jason Richards, and they're just checking that bleed nipple on the calendar there at the moment. That was pretty close, wasn't it, between Lowndes and Jason Bright.
And which of the toll cars is that? Find out shortly.
It's Garth Tander. Oh, gee, they're
Go.
Message there from Rob is get on with it.
You know what?
No mistaking it, is there?
Darryl and I stood down there the other day, and look at this. Nose to tail. Order remains the same. Greg.
Boys, Lowndes is the loser in all that freight train there because Tander got out and Bright got out ahead of CL.
Listen to Lowndes on the limiter in first gear, which is geared in 3.5 to 1 diff at 105 kilometres an hour, which is right at that limit. That's why V8 Supercars Australia chose that speed. Russell right on the braking limit there into turn 1, the Lexmark chicane. Some of the drivers have been grabbing second gear and just not running the engines on the limiter for that long. A little hard to be quite as accurate then with the speed. You know that if you're flat out first, you can't do more than that speed. So different teams approaching it different ways. And debris, lots of it in the front of Russell Ingall's car, I note there as well.
So they're in the same order that they were running earlier. No one gained an advantage there, and it's back to good, hard racing till the end of this third and final race. But we watch with much interest what's going on up ahead, and when do the Kelly boys pit?
104 kilometres an hour first gear is good for with the diff ratio they're using in these cars, and that's why it's ideal to run the cars down there in first. Look at that garbage in the front there. He's picked up a couple of things, and they do not need that round here, especially if Russell gets closer to the back of another car. At the moment, you'd probably get away with it, but if he gets underneath the rear of... Oh, he's got plenty as well. Craig's got a big pile of it in there. So these guys are all on garbage duty here at the moment, cleaning up the track. Oh, that's a lot of it. And in fact, that's enough for them to probably start to show some furrowed brows down there in the 888 bunker.
Race leader is in. Todd Kelly is in pit lane. Bright gets sideways again, and we will monitor this situation with Craig Lowndes. Does that car end up overheating? That's the question that will be answered later. Kelly is released. Todd's out. We keep a watchful eye on the main straight. There's Tander, the second place man. Todd Kelly should get out in time, but how fast has Tander been? Watch to your right-hand side. And he's done it easily. Well and truly easy.
Yeah, he has. Okay, you were right. I threw the question mark up then. I wasn't at all. He comes out on cold rear, so he'll skate around for the first couple of corners. But he'll get away with it. Fastest lap of the race confirmed there by the caption, 51.6 for Winterbottom, and he's showing good sector splits on this lap as well.
Massive crowds here this weekend. Ever since Thursday, all the way through to now. And while they've had a wonderful weekend, sadly one of the byproducts of a large crowd is a lot of litter, unfortunately. And that is what we are seeing in the front of Craig Lowndes' car in that air down. It's even on one of his aerials.
Well, it is at least a blue plastic bag,
yeah.
So it could have been a red one, and that would be all wrong.
He's working on Jason Bright. This is the plastic bag that flicked up.
Oh, well done, Brighty. He's actually landed it up there. What a throw. What a catch.
What a catch. More like it. Back to the front. Tander is right with Todd Kelly now. And this is Jason Richards, the Firepower Commodore. After such an encouraging start to the weekend, Rick Kelly, will he come out in the lead of this motor race?
Go.
Watch this, watch this. Darryl.
Lee, you wouldn't have believed it for that stop. Rob Crawford was standing in the garage with me. Rick Kelly was only about 5 bays away, and the crew had to run out and get organised and do that stop. He was in pit lane, and it all happened within seconds.
He is the new leader. There's his brother on the left, Rick Kelly. The championship contender leads this race.
And one of the boys had the big lock-up going into the turn 1 chicane there, and it's on here between Lowndes and Bright as they make their way to the Cars Guide second chicane. Lowndes is pushing very hard at the moment, trying to make ground. Great scrap, this one.
We saw Lowndes get physical yesterday, particularly on James Courtney. Courtney said, yeah, he showed me a little bit too much love. Right here, Lowndes showed his experience, used a bit of force and muscled past Courtney. What's he going to do with Bright?
Craig using massive amount of the left-hand curve there to try and straighten the radius of that corner to try and get a run on Jason Bright. Jason Bright's got a big flat spot, he said, on the front right.
5 cars yet to complete their compulsory stop.
And that'll make him vulnerable to attack from Craig Lowndes.
Winterbottom, McConville, Whincup, Stephen Richards and Steve Owen all yet to come in. Rest of the field is all good.
Ingall's done the fastest lap of the race, a 51 even, and the sector splits on this lap show Mark Winterbottom actually just surpassing that, 150.9.
You ride with Lowndes, working Jason Bright.
And Stephen Richards' car 7 is going to get the bad sportsmanship flag for consistently hitting the apex tyres around the course. This is Lowndes pressuring Bright. Bright's got a flat spot on one of those front tyres, which is just making him vulnerable at the moment. Oh, used the lots of road there now. Lowndes up the inside, gives him a little love bite. Exit turn 12. Down the end here yesterday was where Jason and Craig just touched nose to tail, and Russell looks very quick at the moment as well. He's needling the back of Lowndes. Great scrap this one, and we're on board now with Russell.
That cost Craig Lowndes a little time and distance on Jason Bright, trying to stick the nose up the inside. If there's a specialist at doing that, it's Jason Bright. We saw it on 2 occasions this year, Darwin and Sandown. In fact, that forceful inside move from Bright sealed the win, clinched the win. And the better electrical Sandown 500.
Craig's just on the radio then to Campbell saying, I'm being held up by Bright, and he got a big flat spot on his front right, so he was right in the box seat to see the big clamp brake, so he knows that Bright is a bit vulnerable at the moment. Phil Keed, meanwhile, has just told Jason there's 12 laps to go.
In front of Bright, so he's probably trying to hold it there.
And all the while, this is continuing to go Rick Kelly's way in the championship. He slashed plenty of points off Craig Lowndes, and this battle is now getting very serious.
Campbell's just told Craig, we need fresh air, mate. We've got something in the grill of the car. We need fresh air. So they've just begun to see rising water temperatures and oil temperatures on the telemetry. And that doesn't help Craig's cause when he's got to think about some other issue with the car now. So every now and again, he'll just have to duck out from the airstream of Jason's car. Remember, we mentioned that earlier, that with that amount of plastering around the front of the car, it is going to impact the water temperature.
And Russell Ingall will be in the same boat as well, because he has debris in his front air dam also. So Lowndes and Ingall, there is concern there, overheating concerns, as this chase continues.
Wait.
While we're away, Mark Winterbottom pitted, whilst in the lead of this race. And trying to grab as much time as he could to come back out and give the Holdens a hard time up front. Whincup and Winterbottom, 2 of those 5 cars that needed to come in because time was running out. And as Winterbottom came out, Tander just squeezed on the inside down at Crazy John's turn 3. Moved to the middle of the track to make life a little easier for himself and to fend off Winterbottom, and that's how it stayed.
And new fastest lap of the race for Rick Kelly, and the new lap record around this place, fastest ever in a V8 supercar of 50.68, and Todd Kelly's currently on target this very lap to perhaps even improve on that. He's split to the first sector as the best so far at 49.7. And remember, with the temperatures cooling out and lots of rubber on the road from the Champ Car race, the conditions are ideal for good speed in these cars. We saw low 49s on Friday. These guys continue to find time around here at the moment.
Stephen Richards is the race leader, but he won't be for much longer. He needs to come in and pit this time round for his compulsory stop. That makes Rick Kelly the race leader, genuinely, as this battle for the minor positions just won't go away. Lowndes has been able to skip away a little bit from Russell Ingall, but is just giving Jason Bright a hard time.
What Jason's got to be super careful of is not applying the brakes with such vigour that he finds that flat spot on the front tyre. Oh, trouble there. One of the tall HSV cars is in the wall at turn 12. Is it Kelly? It's Tander. It's Tander. It's gone straight ahead at 12. We ride with him. Can he get it into reverse to get it moved? He's away. Very costly.
And will he come in? Will he dive for the lane? Or is the car okay? He's continuing.
Down, any damage to the car, we need to bring him in to look at.
Smoking pretty bad.
Smoking bad.
Okay.
Oh, is it ever?
Bring it in, mate. Looks pretty bad. Pit this lap.
Greg.
Unfortunately, the Tasman Motorsport Commodore is back in pit lane, and Jason Richards is out of the game after a promising start to the weekend. What happened?
Look, the pedal started going long and they couldn't pull up, and we had a braking issue, and I think some fluid must have been leaking out of the system somewhere. So it was pretty scary, to be around this place with brakes we were fading, and then we got it going again. Of course, we're out of the race, and then it's it's dropped to 7 cylinders, so got an engine problem. So it wasn't the weekend, but well, I'm proud of the boys. They gave me a very fast car, so what more can you ask for?
It's fast in Tasmania too, Jason.
Thanks, Rusty.
Temps are okay for Craig Lowndes' car, and we're riding here with Garth Tander limping back to the pit lane. He locked the brakes. He was in behind Todd Kelly, and he locked the brakes at turn 12 and went straight ahead. Now, what have we got here? Zinger replay. We're looking at the amount of plastic and garbage in the front of these cars. So that suggests that when the car was stationary, nobody was able to get round the front of the car and grab it.
It could prove costly, but at the moment, Lowndes is able to get enough clean, fresh air to keep those temperatures at a suitable level. Oh, this is hard for Tander, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just popped the front right tyre. You have to be super careful here. He'll end up beating some more concrete. And we're only 7 laps away from the end of the race, so not going to get much out of this day, although they may trickle around and get some points. But he's had a tough couple of rounds at Sandown and Bathurst, and then just further adds to the pain now in this third race this weekend. Great shame, terrific pace, but Rick Kelly is the race leader. Todd Kelly second, Mark Winterbottom is third. Then this great stoush between the Ford runners, Jason Bright and Craig Lowndes. Darryl?
Just to give you an idea on temperatures on Lowndes' car, his engine temperatures is around 90 compared to that of Whincup, which is 80. But engine oil temperature is 123 for Craig Lowndes and 102 for the other car.
And I just saw in the background of that previous shot between turns 3 and 4, Russell Ingall just tagged the wall with the right rear of that car between turns 3 and 4. And so Craig's doing just enough at the moment to get enough of an ingest of nice, cool air into the front of that car. And he can do that on the straights before he resumes the attack on Jason Bright in the braking areas. So if he's got a 90-degree water temperature, you said, Darryl, then that's fine. That's pretty normal.
Well, we continue to enjoy this battle between Bright and Lowndes. Just updating you on a couple of other competitors who have done very well to come from behind. Here's Tander's car being repaired. McConville started the weekend 19th. He runs 8th. And Jamie Whincup, after failing to finish the first race, starting from the back of the pack in the second, is now running in the top 10.
It's the carcass of the tyre parting company with the front right wheel there as Garth was trying to find his way back to the pit lane. They've done some quick repairs on it, race taped it up, cleared the guard away from the front right corner of the car, fitted a new wheel and tyre to it.
Go.
Stephen Richards has done the fastest split to the second sector, 123 even.
Well, going to the next round of the V8 Supercar Championship Series, and a fire here at Team BOC.
Yeah, there must be a lot of brake fluid there, so they've maybe popped a caliper seal in the left rear brake caliper, or they've got a bleed nipple open on that caliper, maybe like the problem that Jason Richards had. Whatever, they've got brake fluid all over the back of that car, and it just ignited there with the extreme temperatures of the brake system. Nothing
will give Todd Kelly more pleasure than finishing second in this race. Why? It's his younger brother. The boys from Mildura are 1 and 2 in this race. They are super tight. They spend a lot of time in each other's company. A lot of fun dirt bike riding, playing, building new cars. They're both keen aviators. Todd can fly a plane. Rick loves helicopters. And boy, can they drive V8 supercars.
Craig Lowndes just radioed back to his crew and said, has anybody got a tow rope? And I'm assuming he's not stationary anywhere. I think he's referring to the fact that he's just jammed under the back of Jason Bright at the moment. So Toll HSV car leads from Holden Racing Team, then Ford Performance Racing, and then that's with Mark Winterbottom, and then these two guys, 4th and 5th.
Lee, just to pick up on your point there a moment ago about the Kelly brothers both being keen aviators, obviously at the Toll HSV camp, they're not too keen during qualifying for us to know what they're up to. So Rick's devised a new system over the weekend of telling the crew via code what he wants changed on the car. And we heard on Friday things like switch to Romeo 3, switch to Romeo 3 and things like that.
Oh, touch there. Contact between Lowndes and Bright. Yeah, they've got their little code going there, Greg, which we raised our eyebrows on the weekend. That's designed to keep us off the trail. Stephen Richards done very fast split in the second sector again. He's down the order at the moment in position 9 in car number 7.
Now, Gregory, Neil and I asked you to decode that code. You've obviously let us down.
Still on struggle street here.
These guys are on struggle street too. This is a punch-for-punch fight between Bright and Lowndes cannot find a way through.
Yeah, he's looking.
This is where he got Courtney yesterday and was just far enough up on James to get it side in and just nudge him out of the way. And Courtney, speaking of him, is coming up in the background.
Yeah, he's coming up quickly into all this, isn't he? So there's a bit of a gap between everybody here. First, second, third. Winterbottom, he's done a great job this weekend, a real quiet achiever. This is an angry battle between Bright, Lowndes, Ingall, who's right in the battle, and then James Courtney in 7th.
Mark Winterbottom's very first year at Ford Performance Racing was with the Larkham Orcon squad for the past couple, and won't FPR, Tim Edwards and the gang be very happy with their acquisition, their new acquisition as a driver, because this young fellow has not let them down, and he sits 3rd in this championship. That's a mighty effort.
Just a couple of moments ago, he had the fastest split to the end of the first sector, but it's just been eclipsed by Jamie Whincup. So Whincup's on target this lap to perhaps do a Hollywood number and maybe eclipse the time set by Rick Kelly, who leads the race. New lap record for Rick, 150.68. He had a 1 second margin on Todd last time through. Craig continues the hustle here. He's got to be a little bit careful. Oh, he's up the inside this time. Oh, no, right, contact is not what either of those two need. And is it worth betting the farm on at the moment for Craig Lowndes?
We're watching it all, mate. Just nice and calm.
And there's no one who loves a fight more than Russell Ingall. We ride with him. He's buying into this now.
The frustration in Craig's voice on the radio and in his discussions with Campbell is that he feels that a fellow Ford runner ought to be making space for him. That clearly is not being shared by Jason Bright and Ford Performance Racing. Here's the Zinger replay. Watch this. Jason just overshoots because he hasn't got enough turn in the front of the car because of the damage in the 2 front tyres. They're both aiming for the same exit apex, and Craig gets up the inside. Probably looked worse than it really was. Light contact there. Both of them have a little rub and get on with it, but heart rates will have just popped up for both of them.
It's Campbell Little. That's the gentleman we hear on the radio to Craig Lowndes all season long. It's his race engineer. Very smart guy, very clever. Ex-Stone Brothers man, in fact. Before that, worked a lot on road race motorcycles. Been around for a long time, been in this game a long time. And one smart cookie. Will he drive Lowndes to another championship? The order is Rick Kelly, Todd Kelly, Winterbottom, then these three guys. Courtney's trying to tag on to the back of this threesome. And then Cam McConville is 8th, Stephen Richards 9th, and Jamie Whitcup in 10th. Steve Johnson, Jason Bargwana just outside the 10. Lowndes again, right on Bright's bumper. The Cat Ford driver has hung tough to now, but is Lowndes about to take it up a notch? That Cat Ford's getting taily. Bright knows he is under the highest of pressure. And it's starting to smoke a little. He locked up there a bit. Lowndes tries to move on the inside again, and he won't be pushed out of the way this time.
Oh, look at this. Russell Ingall's got a run on Craig. He's going to be very well positioned when they get down here to 1. That is not what Craig Lowndes needed.
It's a breaking duel. Side by side, but Ingall's got the preferred line. Oh, and Lowndes goes straight through. He has to readdress that. When Russell catches up to him, Craig Lowndes must readdress that.
Craig.
No, this is a championship that the boys are playing for here down at the Toll HSV dealer team. They were cheering then. This could be good for Rick Kelly in the title chase.
Yeah, no doubt they'll be cheering. This makes life easier for the two fellas at the front of the field at the moment. Let's have a look again. Yeah, so Campbell's just confirmed what we're all thinking, that he's got a, and Craig's really protesting on the radio. So Russell was up the inside. He had position there. And then black flag, pit lane drive through for Craig Lowndes. He did not readdress. He should have readdressed it. Why did he wait?
I mean, got to the bloody back chicane. I said that chicane, mate. Chicane 1. We've got to drive through for doing it. We've got to do it.
If Craig Lowndes had slowed up and readdressed that situation and allowed Russell Ingall back past, he would not be getting a drive-through penalty. This could be huge in the face of the championship. The big picture. This could be a nightmare.
Well, I don't quite know why Craig just didn't let Russell by, because it was obvious that he was down the inside. And straight line, we know straight lining the chicanes is just, you've got to slow down and readdress.
Do the drive-through.
Boy, oh boy.
This will bury him in the field. 50.6, new lap record for Garth Tander with that repaired car. 50.64, he's down in 19th.
And why this is such a massive affair is because the guy who he's fighting for this championship, Rick Kelly, is our race leader.
It'll stir up a hornet's nest in the little Ford gang, because they'll immediately go and blowtorch Ray Price from Ford about the lack of cooperation from the other Ford teams. So that'll be something they'll all have to... And I've never heard Craig so emotional on the radio. He's absolutely livid by this decision.
Up front, Kelly 1, Kelly 2, Rick and Todd. And the round points at this stage look like this, with just a couple of laps remaining here in the Gillette V8 Supercar Challenge. And I tell you what, there's going to be nothing in this at the end of this race. There may be less than 20 points between Lowndes and Rick Kelly as we head to the Ferodo Triple Challenge in a few weeks' time in Tasmania. 3 rounds to go this year. Tassie first up, then the Desert 400 in Bahrain, and then we finish it up with the grand finale at Phillip Island in Victoria. What a weekend it's been here on the coast.
Great job, mate. Last lap, really good, consistent laps.
And we are going to have our 3rd different winner for the weekend. Car 22 will not pass car 15, even though they're from different teams. They're kind of from the same family. Well, the 2 drivers definitely are.
And that's going to be a point that the other side are going to focus on, because they've got 2 cousin teams, if you like, in cooperation here, running strongly, nose to tail, doing well, building up points. Meanwhile, the Ford teams are all busy carving each other up.
I said there's going to be less than 20 points if it stays like this. You and I aren't any good at maths, but Graham Brown, our stats man, is 13 points in Lowndes' favour if they stay as is. So it's going to be tight. And we need to confirm, too, exactly where Lowndes will finish. We're on our way home, though. Half a lap left to run. Todd Kelly won the pole, won the first race. Garth Tander won the second. And young Rick Kelly, the 23-year-old, on his way home to really put the clamp on Craig Lowndes' championship lead and pick up, can you believe it, his first race win of the year. 2nd at the Better Electrical 500 at Sandown, 2nd at the Super Cheap Auto 1000 at Bathurst. This young man has matured a lot in 2006.
This will put the smile back on his face that disappeared after he whacked the ball.
Guess what? Lowndes has changed position further back. Kelly will be the new championship leader by 3 points. That is costly.
Why did Lowndes go even further back? He must have dropped a couple of spots.
Great job.
Rick Kelly wins the Gillette V8 Supercar Challenge. And boy, oh boy, puts himself in front for this championship in 2006. 3 races, 3 different winners, and a new championship leader. How about that? What a dramatic round.
What an amazing motor race. Quick word here for Mark Winterbottom, who did an outstanding job there as well. A bit unheralded in all this. Only 3.5 seconds away from the win in the end game. This will be one that the little tongues will be wiggling about in the pit paddock afterwards.
Why they want Eric Pender from the Toll HSV dealer team. John and Margaret Kelly. Won't they be proud parents right now? Their boys coming 1 and 2 in the race. And Rick Kelly winning the 3rd and final. But Todd Kelly wins the round. It's all been about the Kelly gang here on the Gold Coast. I don't think Ned actually came up this far north, but Todd and Rick certainly have.
I think it also took an extra lap for the computer to sort out the sorted order for where Craig Lowndes was going to finish and the number of points he got.
And that may change our end result with championship points, which we will update you before we go off air. We will have the accurate championship points before we go off air for you. As we check the VB scoreboard, rolling through the top 20, Garth Tander. That was a costly error, wasn't it? He'll be frustrated about that. And Lowndes finishing back in 14th place.
I'm paying attention to you, Lee, but the whole time I've got Craig Lowndes in my right ear.
Still.
He is on the button and has not buttoned off, and we can't put most of it to air, unfortunately, because he's having a big rev. He is ropeable. I've never heard him carry on quite so much. So, yeah, I mean, that's... You can understand when your blood's up and you're trying to make position, you've got to go on and fight with it. But Russell was in there, and look at these round results. This is a telling set of numbers, this one. Todd Kelly, 313. Mark Winterbottom, 300. Rick Kelly, 294. Then look at the bottom of the table to Craig Lowndes. Big bundle of points there for Rick Kelly over Craig Lowndes, and that's the key story in this race weekend.
10 rounds this year. We've got our 8th different winner. Todd Kelly, our 8th different round winner for 2006. Wonderful performance, and so too, we were focusing a lot on the championship implications, but a huge pat on the back to FPR's Mark Winterbottom. That was a stellar performance this weekend. Very fast, very consistent, and that will certainly help his championship hopes as well, because he is in the top 3. Wow, there's going to be a huge watch-up from this event. And what will the Lowndes response be? After such a high point at Mount Panorama Bathurst, he will be livid.
Wasn't that a great motor race? Top teams, great driving, great pit work. There's a few blokes in the preceding race could take a lesson from some of that.
What are you saying here? You don't have to. They come back to Parc Fermé. It's time to celebrate for a variety of reasons. And Matthew Crawford giving his man Todd Kelly a huge pat on the back, and so he should. Drove very well this weekend, didn't he? We'll have the wrap-up when we come back to the streets of Surfers Paradise.
Yeah, wasn't that a remarkable race? I mean, incredible intensity between all those guys, and we're just watching the podium celebrations there and remarking about the fact that Mark Winterbottom just cruised along all day and all the bombs were going off around him, but he had a great drive. But yeah, I'm sure we'll find out more about all this, though, as we unravel the great mysteries of the universe as the boys talk to us.
Let's try and do that with Daryl Beattie.
Craig, I guess terribly disappointing as far as the championship goes, and you're very frustrated with their decision on your drive-through.
To say the least, really. We spend a lot of money and we're pretty professional about the way we go our business. It's just sort of a shame that it doesn't filter right through. You know, I'm gutted because really it's... we were told if we went through these chicanes and we addressed our positions, which I was told by Campbell to let Russell pass. It was arguable whether Russell and I were who was in front, who cares. I was happy to let Russell go and continue racing. But powers to be deemed it was illegal, gave me a drive-through, and you can't get that back. That's a penalty that is served and not replaceable. So, you know, that's it.
I guess you look at the race as well, and the Holden team seemed to gather together and focus on Rick for the championship. It was a little bit different for you.
Well, they did it for them, and I suppose the Ford guys didn't help me either. But yeah, Bridie was struggling with brakes and had a lock up in that front right, and you know, really cost us a lot of time. And they've got good horsepower, and we just couldn't find a way around them. And you know, Russell got a run on me down the straight, and you know, I thought it'd be a bit kinder. Like, you know, I had no room to go. Like, Russell ran me wide, and I had to go around. Otherwise, I was going to run over the tyres. And look, if they want me to do that, I'm happy to do that. But I become an object, and I'll end up in his driver's door.
Well, let's focus on Tasmania and all the best down there.
Thank you. I hope I will.
What a day. An extraordinary upset in the Champ Car race, of course. Bad luck for Will Power. Now in the V8s, what looked to be a regular sort of weekend with some exciting racings turned out to be quite controversial.
Explosive end. I mean, Craig just saying there that he did readdress. Now, we didn't see that. Maybe that's something we're going to have to unearth. But when they went down to the chicane together, Russell was on the inside and was clearly through, and then Craig fired through the chicane in a straight line, and we'll have to unravel whether or not he did, in fact, then readdress the position with Russell later in the race. So
Simmons Plains is the next round for the V8s. In the meantime, Neil and Lee Diffie will saddle up for the Brazilian Grand Prix, the championship decider, and that is live. Of course, Brazil's time being a lot different to ours. 2:45 in the morning. Go and get some sleep, mate.
Yeah, that'll be lots of fun.
Looking forward to it. Thank you for your company this weekend. What a round it's been. Hope you'll join us for the rest of this amazing season. In the meantime, on behalf of the crew, bye for now.